This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good evening. Able to see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, welcome to Isha team. So from today we are going to start performance testing using LoadRunner training. Okay, so myself Amulya, and I'm having like around 9+ years of experience into performance testing, and I started my career with performance testing itself. And I'm gonna to be a tutor going forward for this batch. Yeah, let us start. So today our agenda is, one second, sorry. Yeah, we are going to do like consider all the below topics. Exactly, we are going to discuss like what is performance testing, and exactly what is the life cycle of performance testing. And as we are dealing with the LoadRunner tool, we also have multiple tools, but here our main agenda of this course is to go ahead with end to end things what all included in the LoadRunner, and followed by QA and also with course content. Okay, so before going ahead with the performance testing, first we need to know the exact difference. So most of the people will used to call like we used to hear like, even we might be in like within IT or non-IT, like we used to think about testing everywhere, which comes under QA and all this stuff. So here we have a functional testing is purely different, and also performance testing is purely different. Okay, when you talk about performance testing, it is going to deal with the things exactly how the application is performing. Okay, but when you talk about the functional, it is going to deal with how the application functionality is behaving. I'll show you. Suppose let's take IRCTC application. Okay, so if you are seeing this particular page, there is one button called login and register, agent login, contact us, and we have many n number of icons in the first home page itself. If you are clicking on login, if it is redirecting to login page, we can simply say like login is working as expected in terms of functionality. In a simple way, if one particular button or icon is doing its activity as expected, then we can say it is purely good at its functionality and there is no bug in its functionality. Okay, so that comes under manual testing. Okay, so what they are going to do, they are going to click all the icons and what are all the things we have in this particular application. They are going to check each and every functionality, each and every corner of the particular application, which is going to play a very key role. So once they are done with so-called functionality testing, then it will move to performance testing. So exactly what it's going to do, it is going to check the performance of the application in terms of multiple metrics, like exactly how much load your IRCTC is gonna to handle. Suppose if you are dealing with, if you are like working with IRCTC application as your current project, you need to check its performance. Means if your manager is going to ask you to work on this, means you need to exactly work as per the performance metrics. Means exactly you need to go with some sort of client side metrics and also server side metrics. Okay, so exactly like how many numbers this particular application is going to handle, exactly how much response time it's going to take. If you click on login and if you are going with some sort of username, suppose let's test one, and password is 1234, and when you provide this code as well, nwul, okay, consider capsule, okay, fine, ignore the typo errors. Okay, whenever you are clicking on something called sign in button, exactly how many seconds it is taking in order to reach the server and in order to make you allow into that particular application, which is called response time. We have n number of performance metrics. So we will be checking the throughput, we will be checking hits per second, we will be checking response time, and we also need to consider like how much load this application can be able to handle. All these things will be considered. That is so called performance. Okay. So we have multiple things going forward. We will be learning from the very scratch. That's the main difference. So again, functionality means it's going to check whether that particular functionality, whether that particular icons in the application is properly working or not. But when you move to performance, you need to check its performance, how exactly your application is behaving, how many seconds it is consuming. Okay. And when you talk about the performance testing, it is also going to like clarify about scalability. Okay. So suppose let's take if this application is like capable of 1 lakh users. Scalable means if you're going to use like 1,50,000 users, how your application is going to perform? Like, are you seeing some sort of any hanging mode in your application? Or when you click on login, like, is it going to redirect to any other things? And if your DB is not allowing you to log in, those all will comes under sort of issues, which comes under performance issues. Okay, so whenever we are going with some sort of such scalability is nothing but increasing the particular load. So whatever the load is nothing but number of users. Okay, so the word or the term or the parameter load is nothing but number of users as per our understanding. Okay, so we need to check the scalability as well. So that's the main thing. And so that's the difference. And now, whenever you are doing something, so no matter what, whether that is related to this training or whatever it might be. So whenever you are learning something, try to question yourself with these 4 questions. Exactly what you are doing and why you are doing and when you are going to do that and how you are going to reach that. Okay. So if you consider these 4 questions, then each and every topic is going to give you a very clear picture on what you're doing. Okay, let me take these things as our very first step. Okay, so the very first question, what is performance testing? So if someone is going to ask you what is, we can simply define as testing the application with its peak load or maximum load. Don't get confused, load is nothing but users. Okay, whenever the application, which is nothing but performance, as I said earlier, no, so performance means mainly we are going to consider like the capability of the particular application. So we can simply say like testing the application with its peak load under many conditions. We are going to like discuss all the conditions going forward. So we can simply say like testing the application with its peak load. Suppose we got allocated to IRCTC client. Okay, so the client is asking us to go ahead with 50,000 user load, and they are just asking us to perform performance testing on that IRCTC application. Then we can say like the load is defined. So whenever we were aware of the load, then we can say like it is defined load. Okay, and also being a performance tester, we may also get some sort of situations like where the client don't have any idea on the application on what they are providing. So being a performance tester, we need to provide some sort of values over there. Okay, those all will come later. So you can simply say like testing the application behavior when we are working with peaklet, how exactly your application is behaving, whether that is freezing or that is like whether it is consuming high CPU, whether the memory percentage is normal or not, whether we are having any deadlocks. Each and every metric is gonna to consider. Okay, whether like whenever you are trying to log in SBI application, if it is taking high time, then we can simply say like there is a issue in the performance, because instead of 2 seconds while trying to log in the application, it is taking like more than 5 plus seconds, which is totally bad. Okay, so being a production user, okay, so production means, suppose let's take when you open the Play Store, when you click on IRCTC, so you can able to see the app, right? So whenever the app is readily available for the customers or users, we can say like that application is in production. Okay, and why we need performance testing? So some may get doubt like, without performance testing can't IRCTC move to Play Store application? No, never. Okay, so the reason why each and every application should be tested with performance testing is the client and the consumer expect defect free in production. Okay, so the main thing is they will be looking for defect free in production. Suppose let's forget about the client. Okay, we are like around 10 people in this call, so whenever we are trying to book a ticket, if we are seeing like multiple issues while booking a ticket, then each and every user is going to lose the concentration on that particular application, which is a very big failure for the client, and which is going to be a very big loss for the client. If the application is going to handle only 5 users, and whenever the sixth user is trying to log into IRCTC, it is causing the disturbance to the application. It is not allowing the sixth candidate to enter into the application, which is completely a bad version. Okay, in order to see a defect free in terms of responses or in terms of the load or in terms of either client side or server side metrics, all these things will comes into defects when we talk about performance metrics. Okay, so in order to see a defect free in production, we definitely need performance testing to be done for each and every application. Okay, and now when we need performance testing, okay, suppose let's take IRCTC, they just developed this particular page. Okay, but whenever you click on login, they just designed the page, developer just designed the page, and the functionality testing is also not yet done. When you click on login, it is not, see, this is expected. If you click on login, we are expecting this login page, correct? But when I click on login, I am not seeing anything over here. It is showing like as it is. I can't able to click any icon over here, which means the functionality testing of this application is not yet completed. So when we can able to do that? So when we need performance testing, so we can simply say like when the application is developed and application is done with functional phase. Okay, it should done with development phase, development phase, and app is done with functional phase. Whenever these two phases are done, then we can simply enter into the application, then we can able to do our performance testing. If the developer is like they are still working on that, so he just designed this page and I can't able to click anywhere. And also we can able to see only login button and there is nothing over here. But for that login, okay, suppose let's take the developer done with login functionality and there is no other items or the icons are developed it, and also that login functionality itself is already tested by functional testers. In such cases, we can also test the application in parallel, as we are all working in agile methodology, right? So instead of waiting for the entire application to be developed and entire application to be done with functional phase, we can also go and check the particular functionality which is developed and which is already functional tested. We no need to wait to complete the entire page development and also functionality development. Okay, and someone used to ask, we also get some scenarios like when we click on login, we will be using proper user ID and proper password, which is called happy path, or else we can say like positive thing. Okay, positive test case or happy path. If you're giving proper, okay, I'm just giving Amulya and 1234 is my, let's consider this is my valid username and password. Okay, and I'm typing this captcha as well and clicking on sign. If I am going with the positive and happy path, then it can be considered as a performance test case that comes under a performance testing phase. But in few of the scenarios, client also asks us to go with some sort of negative cases, which means they'll just ask us to go with invalid credentials as well. Actually, Amulya is registered in IRCTC database, whereas Amulya 123 is not yet registered. And even though if it is registered, whatever the 1234 password I provided earlier, it is purely wrong. So, if our client is looking for sort of negative test cases, then being a performance tester, we can directly stick to the point saying like, being a performance tester, we are not supposed to test and we are not allowing any test cases which is of negative path. Okay, here we will be testing only valid scenarios. Okay, we are not going to entertain with any negative based scenarios which is of wrong credentials or invalid username or invalid password, but that needs to be checked, but not from our side. That is the job of functionality team. So manual testers used to check that, because even though if you are providing wrong credentials and your database is allowing the particular user, means that is totally wrong. Okay, so they are going to check with multiple cases like positive username, positive password, correct username, wrong password, or vice versa, or invalid username, invalid password. They should check each and every path, means positive and also negative. But being a performance tester, if you are like getting any such phase, you can directly say no to your client, because that's not at all our work. Okay, and okay, now we know like the performance testing is nothing but we will be checking the behavior. And exactly, definitely we need performance testing because we are expecting and we should see defect free in production. And when we are going to start it, whether either the application is done with app and sorry development and functional phase, or whenever like they are done with sort of service basis as well. Okay, which is nothing but we can also do in parallel with functional and development phase. Now, exactly how we are going to achieve this, we know what is that and why we need that and when we need to perform the performance testing. So in order to achieve the performance testing, or in order to go ahead with performance testing, here we have tools, multiple tools. Okay, so perf tools. One is LoadRunner, which is from ages, and it is purely licensed one. Okay, and we also have a Jmeter, which is open source, and Neoload, again licensed. K6 licensed. Soasta. So we have locust. We have multiple Soasta. Soasta licensed. So we have multiple things, multiple tools. Okay. So whereas this, just give me a second. Okay. So as I said earlier, as we have multiple tools, the very first is LoadRunner. So whenever you hear like performance testing, the one and very most thing what they are expecting from you is expertise in LoadRunner. Okay, so it is purely licensed version, but we can able to go for a trial version till 50 users. So it means if you want to check any application till 50 users, you can make use of this tool called LoadRunner. Okay, and moving to Jmeter, it is purely open source. So even you can directly open any browser and click on Jmeter download. So it is going to give you a sort of Jmeter in your machine itself. But here the thing is, it is only limited to some sort of 400 user load. Then again you need to go with some sort of, if you are going beyond that, then again it needs some sort of master slave configuration where there will be extra resource utilization and all the stuff. Okay, and we also have Neoload, which is again licensed one. K6 is also again licensed one. So Asta is also again licensed one. Okay, but like most of the banking applications and most of the whoever are completely looking for some sort of security, they will be completely rely on LoadRunner when they compare with sort of open source application. Okay, and also a LoadRunner is going to support n number of multiple protocols as well, which is a very good thing if you want to check the application from the different backgrounds. Okay, so when you talk about LoadRunner, so the first vendor was, it was with Mercury. Okay, after a few years it moved to HP, and then it was with Micro Focus. When you heard about the LoadRunner, sometimes we used to hear like it is a HP LoadRunner or Micro Focus LoadRunner. In the same way, now it is with Hand's company called OpenText. From last 2 years, it is with OpenText. Okay, so earlier it was with Mercury and then moved to HP and then Micro Focus. Now it is with OpenText. Okay, and also when we talk about actually I was saying about production, right? I'll tell you the difference. Suppose let's go with a few URLs. Suppose let's take IRCTC. Okay, if that is in development phase, so we can consider the URL as www.irctc.dev.com whenever it is with in development phase. In the same way, whenever manual testers are using, or whenever it move to some sort of functional, okay, this URL is gonna to be updated with SIT, okay, which is nothing but system integrated testing, okay, which is nothing but lower environment. So when we talk about lower environment and higher environment, in lower environment the application is not stable. It means there will be like continuously changes in the application. If you are seeing this, so if they place the login here, like whenever it moved to production in the very final version, you are not supposed to see the login here. There might be a getting chances of login here, or now you are seeing like multiple options here. Okay, so whenever it is like completely developed and all the phases, like there will be n number of multiple changes in all these options. Either it might be location, or it might be any functionality, or it might be any add-ons and all this stuff. Okay, so these two phases comes under lower environment. Okay, in most of the cases we won't work or we won't test the application in lower environment. But if you want to make your scripts ready, then, and if we don't have enough time, then we will switch to that. Now when we talk about performance environment, it will be like www.irctc.perf.com. Okay, or we can also, and in like it's completely depends on how the application is configured. In few organizations, they will be going with some sort of environment called staging, or in few it might be with UAT, user acceptance. It means like uat.com at the end. I'll rewrite it here. Instead of perf, they'll be simply going with staging. Instead of staging, they will be using UAT. This is nothing but higher environment. And whenever the application is completely done, that is called prod, which is nothing but www.irctc.com. Simple. It means like whenever you open the application, whatever you are seeing irctc.co.in, which is now it is in, I mean this is Indian application, right? irctc.co.in, which is nothing but completely into production. So all these comes into non-production. Okay. 1 second. So this entire part comes into non-production, and this environment moves to production. Okay, this is non-prod. This is the very basic concept. Okay, now what we learned so far, what is performance and why we need it, when we are going to do that, and how we are going to achieve it. And moving to next slide. So we are done with this. What is performance? Now, what is performance life cycle? Okay, in the very first line, we need to check the non-functional requirements. Okay, so like exactly we need to ask the client like what are all the things they are looking for. Okay, first we need to check their technical design specification. Are the, I mean whatever the application they are having, is that with Python or .NET, or is that with Java? So what is the exact background of that application? Okay, and when we talk about the non-functional requirements, we have multiple things. So if you see all these options here, and let's take, we have this IRCTC application. And okay, let's take Vasant is our client. Okay, and we all like working as performance testers. Okay, so we need to post him a few sets of questions, like exactly from which background the application is developed. So is if Vasant is going to ask us, no Amulya, we are planning for like around 500 users, and this performance test should be complete within like 2 weeks. So they are giving only a sprint frequency of 2 weeks, and they are expecting a very basic load, which is nothing but 50. So he just want to check whether 50 users can able to log into that application and able to play around the application. Okay, then we can question him like, see Vasant, we have multiple functionalities here. One is login, register, agent login, contact us, help support, and trains, loyalty, e-wallet, buses, flights, and all the things. So exactly as we are having these many things, we can ask him exactly on what all functionalities we can focus for the current release. There might be two chances here. Vasant can be aware of the application, or he's totally blank. He's just having the financial things and he's not at all having any background of the application. Okay. And being a performance tester, he is simply asking us to go ahead with our things. Okay. He's totally putting the entire burden on our shoulders. Then we can suggest him, see Vasant, we are having only 2 weeks of time. So in order to check the complete functionality, it's, I mean, whatever we are seeing in this particular application, it's not going to happen for sure. So for now, we will be going with the main key business scenarios. Means if you want to book a ticket, what all you needed? Definitely he should able to register first. If you want to log in the application also, definitely he should register. If he is able to register, then only he can able to log in, right? So we will be considering register functionality and login functionality. Okay. Once these two things are done, then what we will be doing? We will be booking a ticket. So we need to check this as well. So whenever you are trying to fetch some sort of, suppose Hyderabad, okay, so we need to check Bangalore or whatever it might be. Okay. So whenever you are trying to book a ticket, so definitely this page is pretty much needed. So we will be checking this functionality as well. Okay. So if you want to book a ticket, what is the main thing? Definitely it should satisfy the payment functionality as well. So we will be checking the payment functionality. Okay. Somehow you are like due to some other plans, you want to cancel your ticket. Then what we can say, like we will be also working with canceling the ticket. So which is pretty much needed. And if you are willing to travel, and if you want to check, I mean somehow it like it was with the status is waiting list, then what is your next step? You need to check the PNR status. Okay, so again you need to check this functionality as well. So after getting the proper understanding of all the things, whatever the functionalities we are having, we can go ahead with some sort of suggestion. So for now, in this sprint, if you want to go ahead with some sort of any performance release, so we can go ahead with all these things, which is nothing but in scope. Okay, in scope means what all functionalities or what all activities we are considering for the current release, that is called in scope. Okay, and here if you see, we also we can also book bus, flight, hotel, holidays, we can also book meal and all the other things. So what we can say, as we are having limited time, we will consider this for next release, so which is nothing but out of scope. So what all comes under current release is in scope. What all comes under the next release is out of scope. So actually NFR is a very big thing, so we will be discussing discussing that the complete part tomorrow. I'll just go ahead with some sort of brief. Okay, so we need to check the application background, and then in scope what all included, and we can go with out scope what all excluded, and key business scenarios, so what all functionalities we are including. Okay, and also we need to check entry criteria, and also we need to go ahead with exit criteria. Okay, when I talk about entry criteria and exit criteria, can anyone say like what is entry criteria for an intermediate candidate or intermediate student? What is the entry criteria for him? What might be the things we will be consider if he wants to enter into a 12th, I mean plus one? What is his eligibility? What should
10th
be his?
mark sheet.
Okay, is mark sheet fine or he should pass?
Yeah, he should pass.
Okay. Okay, fine. And what should be the exit criteria when you consider plus one? Exit. If he wants to exit from plus one, what should be the criteria?
All subjects should be passed.
In which, I mean, is that from 10th or is that from plus one?
Plus one.
Exactly. So, in the same way, entry criteria means whatever the things we that should be done before performance testing, which is nothing but dev phase or functional phase, and also the main thing is app should be stable. If the application is not stable, if you are opening the application you are not seeing the login. Let's take, if you are gonna to open this application for 5 times, whenever you are trying to open it, it is like you can able to see login icon only for 2 times, and for the remaining 3 times it is missing. Then we can simply say like there is no proper stability. And whenever you are trying to like opt Secunderabad as you are from, it is not allowing you to pick that value, then there might be a defect, which is which can be considered as not stable. So the entry criteria, when you talk about the performance testing entry criteria, application should be stable, and also it should be done with development and functional phase. That's what we did. When we are going to do that, whenever the application is completed with these two phases. And when you talk about exit criteria, we can simply say like when it met, simply say like client requirement. It might be in terms of SLA, which is nothing but service level agreement. If Vasant is going to ask us like, no matter what, Amulya, I am expecting like around 3 seconds for login functionality, and for the payment it should not take more than 5 seconds. Anyhow, when you click on payment, like there it might be redirecting to phone pay and gpay or net banking or into the third parties, right? So that's the reason why we are going with some sort of high values compared to normal functionalities. Okay, so if someone asks sort of exit criteria, then we can say like when the application is completely met with its requirements. Okay, when the report is totally fine as per the expected SLA from the client, then we can say like we are good to close the performance testing for this current release. Okay, so in the same way we can also ask him like exactly during which time we can able to run this. If he is if he is asked us to gonna to test in some sort of working hours or non-working hours, or if they ask us to allow with the like as per our wish, then we'll go with some sort of production hours only. Okay, and also like whenever you are doing any work, then there might be a chances of getting issues, no matter you are into which technology. If you are doing some work means definitely like there might be a chances of getting issues. So for that, we need to ask him whether there is any configured monitoring tool, exactly which tool they are using. If he says, yes, Amulya, we already integrated with the Dynatrace, or they are already integrated with some sort of AppD, or sort of any other new relic, Wiley Introscope, then we need to get access for that as well. Or if he says like, no, Amulya, we don't have that budget, but we are expecting you to do that without any monitoring tool, then we also have a sort of internal tool which is of open source, Perfmon. So if you click here and if you click to Windows, see, if you click on Perf, there you can able to see Perfmon. So whenever you are running the test, you can able to see the CPU metric and the memory metric here. So we also have that option. So we are going to discuss the Perfmon as well. Okay. And also the main thing we need to like ask Vasant about the load. Exactly like how many users here he is going to tell. He is going to plan release, if it is 50 users or 100 users or whatever it might be. Okay. And also I said no, SLA, service level agreement. So exactly how many seconds he is expecting response time for all the functionalities. So we will be taking care of that as well. This is the very first step. See, whenever you are preparing food also, like what are all the ingredients you should have in order to prepare one meal. So those are nothing but the requirements. In the same way, if you are gonna to do a performance testing, definitely for each and every work there will be a basic requirement, right? So these are the few things. We will be discussing about this in detail tomorrow. Okay, this is the very first step of doing performance testing. Okay, so we already connected with Vasant and we gathered all the NFR things. Now we are moving to the very next step, which is called test plan. Okay, so what are all the requirements you gathered here so far? We are simply making a document for approval. Okay, so what our client said, he just asked us to go with 50 users. Okay, so don't forget about that. He just asked for 50 users. And then we skipped this very second step, which is test plan. And then we have LoadRunner and we did scripting, execution and analysis. And we shared the report as well. Now, there might be a chances of very bad hit from the client. What he is going to tell? No, no, Amulya, why you did that? So I'm not at all happy with your work. I'm not at all looking for the 50 users. I have a thought of going ahead with the 100 users instead of 50 users. And also like I just want to include a few more functionalities. Okay. So new functionalities in the current release itself, which is pretty much needed. So I just want to add customer care service also into the current release. Then whatever the efforts you did for the execution for the 50 users is totally is going to waste. So for the same reason, test plan is going to act like a agreement between our organization and the client. Okay, so suppose if you are working for one second. Okay, if you are working for TCS, okay, let's take TCS. Okay, TCS is our organization and IRCTC is our client. Okay, so test plan is nothing but agreement between these two, organization and client. So without test plan, we can't go ahead with the third step, which is called scripting. So each and every step is pretty much needed here. Once only after getting approval from the test plan, then we can go ahead with scripting. Suppose test plan got approved. Okay, on 10th of March, test plan approved. Okay, and on 12th of March, he again connected with us. Vasant again connected with us and asked us to go with no, Amulya. So actually, we are planning for 60 users. instead of 50 users. Okay, so he incremented 10 more users based on the configuration and setup and all this stuff. So he thought of changing his mind and asked us to go with 60 users. Then what we can do? We can edit one more test plan with a version 2. Okay, earlier it was with version 1. Now we are going to prepare one more test plan with named with version 2, and we will change the user count from 50 to 60, and again we'll share that to Vasant, who is playing as IRCTC client, and will get approval. For each and every minor change in the test plan, definitely we should get approval from the client. Okay, that is pretty much needed. And once we are done with that, then what is our step? So once we are done with requirement and once we know how exactly we are planning to design the plan, then we will go for scripting. And when you heard about scripting, you no need to worry. We are not like, there is no need of any programming knowledge as a prerequisite to learn LoadRunner. Okay, so it is like completely open source for non-IT as well. So anyone can able to learn LoadRunner or performance testing in a very easy way, because there is no need of any programming skills here. So if you talk about the LoadRunner, see, when you are done with your installation setup, you can able to see these three icons in your desktop. One is Vugen, one is controller, and the other is analysis. So this is the place where you will be doing scripting. So if you open any application, suppose let's take this is your application. If you click on record, okay, it is going to record all the functionalities, whatever you are clicking here and there. So you no need to write any code, but we will be doing some sort of script enhancements. Okay, see, if I am going to record this with Somya as username, if I want to make use of the same script for all the remaining candidates in our session, if I want to make use of it Bhaskar, Radha, Imran, Venkat, and Sandeep, Kishore, Nagasri, and Vasant, so definitely we should change our script as per the real-time users, correct? So for the same sake, we will be doing some sort of enhancements in our script. And also, see, if Vasant is going to log into this application, he is going to get a different security code. And whenever we guys are trying, we will be getting a different code. Okay, so there comes the another enhancement, which is called correlation. So likewise, we have 3 to 4 enhancements, which is pretty much needed for a script. Okay, which is very easy. You no need to worry about that. Okay, this is the third step. So this is the component of LoadRunner where we will be using virtual user generator. Okay, and then once we are done with scripting, whatever the script we recorded, suppose let's consider we recorded the login functionality of IRCTC. So if you want to make use of the same script to run it for 50 users, okay, so it doesn't mean that you should create 50 scripts with different username and different password. For the same sake, we are doing enhancement that comes under parameterization. Okay, so once you are done with all the scripting enhancement, that script will be moved to execution part. Okay, this is the execution. This is the place where we will be doing execution, which is called controller. Once you are done with that execution, definitely you need to analyze like exactly how many seconds it took in order to log in. Okay, exactly how many samples got generated in 1 hour of duration, which is nothing but how many login hit to the server, IRCTC server, within 1 hour of time duration. All these things will be considered. Okay, that comes under analysis. So once you are done with analysis, if the client is pretty much happy, okay, so see, here in execution, we need to repeat the same execution until it reaches SLA. As per the Vasant's data, we should work in such a way in order to reach Vasant metrics, which is nothing but a client thing. SLA, service level agreement. Okay, so suppose let's take, instead of 3 seconds, we received 5 seconds for the login functionality in analysis. Then what is our next step? Again, we need to debug the issue, and we will share what are all the things we are getting from our monitoring tool. We will be sharing that to related team. Okay, if you are seeing any third party or any something related to the login issue, then you can make a screenshot of that and you can share it with the development team or infra team. So what they are going to do? They are going to do some changes in their coding, and they will push the code to our application. Then we are going to retest the same script again till it reaches SLA, which is nothing but regression testing. Okay, that is the final step. First, we need to gather the functionalities, I mean NFR, and then whatever the NFR we gathered from the client, we will be designing into a one particular document, which is nothing but an agreement between organization and client, which is called test plan. Once that got approved, we will be moving to scripting, okay, and then execution, then analysis. Okay, this is the life cycle. Okay, and moving to architecture. As said earlier, we have three components. One is VUGen, virtual user generator for scripting. This is LoadRunner architecture. We have only three components. Okay, one is for scripting, controller is for test execution, and analysis is for report. Okay, and also we have the fourth component, which is measure. So whenever we talk about the load from the beginning, user load or whatever it might be, so either it might be 10 or 20 or 50 users, 100 users, exactly who is going to provide that? So the component called load generator, the name itself says it is going to generate the required load, which is nothing but LG. It's a sort of machine which is going to help us in terms of some sort of resource utilization and all the stuff. Okay, and that LG should be configured with application on which you are working. If LG has don't access to IRCTC, then there is no use of doing the test. So whatever the machine you are, or whatever the application you are working, that should be done with this configuration setup. This is the basic architecture. The components called VUGen for scripting, and controller for execution, and analysis for report doing. And in order to generate the required load, so we have LG, and that should be configured with application, required application. Okay, so we completed this, and life cycle completed, architecture. So we are going to have the detailed session on performance testing life cycle tomorrow as well. Okay, now let's just simply check the course content, exactly what all the things we are going to include here. So introduction to the performance testing. So NFR, test plan, workload modeling. Workload modeling is nothing but like, if the if we don't have any values, then we can able to define like how much load the application is capable of. One second. Yeah, how much load the application is capable of. So we will be doing that as well. I will be helping you in designing and doing some sort of calculations for the workload modeling. Okay, and we will be installing the LoadRunner, and we will be doing the scripting. Okay, so in scripting we have multiple things. We have inbuilt functions, and also we will be writing some sort of custom codes and all this stuff. And we are going to record, and we are going to play with the replay as well. And we have multiple options, which is called runtime settings. And here, on an extra note, we also include some sort of introduction to C language, okay, which is very common. And even if you don't have any idea on C language, that is totally fine. You no need to worry about that. Okay, so we are just going to simply touch on what are all the things that will be included, because here when you want to customize some sort of functions, then there we need some minute functions like if statement, if else condition, okay, or strings like that. Okay, without this also we can able to do that, but on on a positive note we are including this as well. Okay, and we are going to deal with load runner functions. Okay, and suppose let's take, there might be a chances of scenario, suppose if you are ordering something in Amazon, suppose this is consider this as your interview question. Okay, so what's the interviewer like requirement is, he is just gonna to order one product from Amazon. Okay, so he is making use of that script for 100 users. Okay, without seeing database or without login to any like so-called username and password, he just need what are all the order IDs that got generated. Okay, in that type of situations we can make use of this file operations. We can able to write what are all the things that we achieved from our scripting. Okay, so as said, we have correlation. Okay, we have parameterization, and once we are done with this scripting, we will be executing the script in another component, which is controller. In controller we have like when you talk about performance testing, there are n number of types of performance testing: load testing, endurance testing, spike testing, failover testing, capacity testing. Okay, all these things. So there is, I mean, for the spike or endurance or load, you no need to change your scripts. But the way how we are designing or how we are providing the duration or how we are providing ramp up and all this stuff, that only the designing and the values is going to change, but not your the very first part, which is your scripting. Your scripting is not going to affect if you are switching from load test to endurance test. You no need to worry about that. Okay, so once you are done with that, you will be checking with analysis. So in analysis, we are going to check the entire detailed report. How many seconds, how many response codes we observed. Okay, and also if you want to merge two graphs or multiple graphs, we can able to do that. And also on an addition, we are going to get like a few more things for interview preparation. Okay, and also they will be providing some sort of self-placed recordings as well for your upcoming things and all this stuff apart from this load runner. Okay, all these things will be included in your course content. So I can surely say, like, once you are done with this course, you can able to perform end-to-end activities using load runner. Okay, and also the main thing is we are going to have a sort of like a quiz sessions on weekly basis, something like that. Whenever we are done with one particular thing, then we are going to have that. See, so this is the first day, right? So once we are done with that second day, I'm going to post some sort of questions. So even now itself you can able to see what is performance testing. Okay, so checking the functionality, checking the application behavior and scalability. Can anyone answer this? I'll just go ahead with only one question. What is your answer? So what is performance testing? A, B, C, both B and C.
BMC.
Yeah, so performance testing is going to check the application behavior with peak load, and here we also going to check how much scalable, like till how much load the application is going to handle. So we are also going to handle this type of quiz sessions as well for our better understanding and for our confidence levels. Okay, and also I'm going to post you some sort of interview based questions in the mid of the sessions in each and every session. so that you'll be parallelly like learning the things and practicing the things, and also you'll be able to like get ready for your upcoming interviews if you're planning to switch something like that. Okay. Yeah, that's what for today. And sorry for taking extra time. You can go ahead with your questions, guys. Feel free to share your thoughts,
Hi,
even
Amulya.
even though if that is yeah, silly also, that's totally fine being a beginner. Yes, Somya.
Yeah, actually, how many hours is the course?
So it will be like around 30 plus hours. So you excluding the weekends, you can expect the completion of this course like within 2 months. So
Is the
it'll be,
course from Monday to Friday or Saturday?
yes, a Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday.
So, Amulya, I just have a question. Like, we'll deal with any real-time
Yes,
scenario?
yes. Sorry, I forgot to update that. Yes, here we are going to use two applications. So
Mm-hmm.
where we will be playing around the end-to-end applications.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Thank
while
you,
doing the
Amulya.
scripting and yeah, while doing the scripting analysis and reporting and all this stuff, so we will be using this. And also in additional to this, I'm like gonna to add mainly this is for true, I mean sorry, LoadRunner with web protocol, but I'm also planning to go ahead with short sessions on API and also the true client protocol. So by the end of this thing, you can able to get like minimum 2+ of protocols end to end for sure. Okay, so even if you check the previous comments also, like the guys are totally satisfied with the work. Okay, so no matter what, like even whenever you feel some sort of any questions in the mid, so you can just make a note, and we'll leave for like around 10 to 5 minutes at the end, so that we can discuss the silly things or even the small minute things, so which will be very common while learning.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thanks. Any more questions, guys? Vasant, Venkatesh, Sandeep, Kishore, Radha, Bhaskar.
Um, Amulya,
Yes, Soumya.
so how many years of experience can you keep with this?
Uh, Sorry, can you please be a bit loud, Soumya?
Yeah,
Oh,
how many years of experience can you keep, Amulya?
okay. So let me stop recording. Yeah, thank you, guys. Let me stop recording and we'll go with our normal discussion. Thank you.